Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of Learn with Z. Last time we were talking about electromagnetic wave, why it is called wave. This time we were talking about a concept that's frequently misunderstood in our real life. It's called something called dB. When we see this word, the first thing pop out of my mind is nowadays we can use an app on our cell phone to measure the noise level. What I remember when I was a kid, there's a big ground, a big plaza, and there is a machine stand in the middle of the plaza, and it says the dB level um, of the environment right now, right? And we as a kid we try to shouting at the machine and to see the dB will change. And what actually is dB is stand for decibel. We also have B, which is 10 dB. It's in memory of a scientist called Bell. And so here's some, very usual, very common dB in our real life is breathing, breathing, about 10 dB. Whispering is about 20 to 30 dB. It's a quiet conversation. And normal conversation, like what I'm talking right now, 60 to 70 dB. Traffic noise is about 70 to 85 dB. Lawn mower is a machine you use to cut the grass. It's 85 to 90 dB. Concert, like a rock concert, is like 110 to 120 dB. Light at taking off, it's about 130 to 140. So gunshot, it's about 140 to 170. And when your noise level reaching about 120 to 130, you start to feel pain. That's the threshold of pain. So we talk about all these noise level, and we start to wondering what is a 0 dB, right? Okay, before I mention what is 0 dB, I want to also mention the meaning behind dB. dB, this it's actually not a unit. It's a ratio. What does that mean is when I say 10 dB, it's 10 dB off a standard. Usually it's a 0 dB. There is dB is not a unit. It's a ratio. So to convert dB to an actual number, what we use is actual number equal 10 to the dB divided by 10. So when we have 0 dB, the actual number will be 10 to the 0 divided by 10 equal 1. When we say 10 dB, actual number is 10 to the 10 divided by 10 equal 10, 1 equal 10. When we say 100 dB, it's 10 to the 100 divided by 10. Wait, hold on. Yeah. I was talking about 20 dB. I was saying why there is a right. So when we mentioned 20 dB, that's actually 100 times than the 0 dB. So what is the 0 dB in terms of noise level? When we talk about this, we need to introduce another concept. Something called SPL, which is sound pressure level. So in our human ear, we have a structure kind of like this, our human ear, and the sound wave will be propagating like this. Consider human ear as a receiver of sound wave. It's kind of like an electromagnetic wave. The Wi-Fi router is a receiver of electromagnetic wave. But now we just trying to use our human ear so we can understand it easier. In our ear, we have a structure in medical way. We call it tympanic membrane. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but in common word, we call it eardrum. It's kind of like a drum. If you press it harder, it will bounce harder. It will, if you press it very light, it will barely move, right? So when there is a sound wave coming into it, there's two things we need to mention in this situation. One, it's the SPL. Our ear require the eardrum to be shaking at a certain SPL. Then our brain is able to recognize this as a signal, as a sound. So this has a unit called Pascal. We all learned this in high school or middle school. We can represent it with Newton per square meters. And this sound wave, if we have some basic knowledge of sound wave or electromagnetic wave, we know this wave has a power level. Power watt equal joule per second. That means how much of energy you can transfer within a certain amount of time. We can also write it as Newton times meters per second. Also write as FV. And this V, we know it's 140 or 144 meters per second. It's a speed of sound wave. So the power of a wave that's propagating in the air is actually just depend on this F, how strong it is, right? So we know the stronger this F is, this will be bigger. When this reaching a certain amount of level, our ear will tell our brain, hey, this is a sound. So that's 0 dB. I'm not sure what is this Pascal is at, but it's something. I remember a word is 20 mu Pascal. So you can, because this is meters, right? So in our ear, we tend to have a very small eardrum. So we can use it as a centimeters square, something like that. So this, I have to double check this. You guys can check this as well. Okay. So after telling you this, there is another two topic we left behind. One thing is called noise canceling technology. What is a noise canceling technology? So when I talk using microphone, in the background, there is a lot of different kinds of noise, right? Like little bugs, or little bird, or just a white noise, But when you hear me in the video, you can only hear me, right? Obviously, you can hear, you can hear a lot of things, but the dominant thing you hear about is my voice. Why? Because in our software, we have a threshold that we can ignore all of the sound below that threshold. So my voice is very clear. That's something I thought about when I using this software. So after this, there is one more topic I want to mention. Is we also know in our life there is something called 20 hertz to 20k hertz. That's the range of humans listening, right? So if a sound wave's frequency is in this range, humans are able to recognize it. And what does that has to do with dB? I'm telling you that's a different concept. So even though your sound has a frequency out of this range, something like 30k, your eardrum will still vibrate, like shaking, if your dB is big enough. It will shaking. So that explains in some, very high technology war, they will play some music, they will play some sound wave. You cannot hear it, but your eardrum is broken. So you cannot hear anything more. It's so powerful, but you at the same time you cannot recognize it. You will become deaf, right? So another thing I want to talk about is why humans have this range of 20 hertz to 20k hertz. In my humble opinion, I think there's two main reasons. The first reason is in evolutionary way, human needs to have mutual communication. So the hertz that we are tending to make is kind of like the hertz that we tend to hear, right? We can make do re mi fa sol la si do re mi fa sol la si do, right? You want to make this at the same time your partner is able to hear it. So I would say the range of your sound is kind of like the range of what you can hear it. So that makes communication well, right? And if you apply this general principle to other animal like frog, mouse, tiger, or snake, anything, you want it to be in their range. If you are out of their range, you will be killed. That means our brain form a general range of 20 to 20k that make us less vulnerable in the environment. We can hear most of the animal. So that's the reason one. And the reason two is we all know the wavelengths and this, right? This is for electromagnetic wave. It's for any wave actually. So here is about 140 and this is 20, right? You can also ranging to 30. So the wavelengths of the sound waves is ranging from 17 meters to the wavelength is about this. So I would say the wavelengths usually have a lot of um, relationship related to your receiver's length, kind of like um, the receiver of a Wi-Fi router and the wavelengths of the electromagnetic wave. This range is in your daily life, something in your ear has something to do with this range. So this range, I would call it real life range. So that's probably another reason humans have this range. Thanks for watching. Today's video is kind of long, but I hope you can learn something from it. Thank you so much.